你已经在医生办公室里多年，信任他的每一句话和建议。Break。但你是否想过，有些看似无害的问题，其实隐藏着危险信号？这些问题可能影响你健康、独立，甚至生命。接下来，我将揭露医生对60岁以上女性最危险的5个提问。听完后，你会用全新的眼光看待下次就诊。你已经坐在那个医生办公室里多年，相信他说的每一句话。但如果我告诉你，其中一些看似无害的问题，实际上是危险信号，可能毁掉你的健康、独立甚至生命，你会作何反应？我即将揭露医生对60岁以上女性提出的5个最危险的问题。这些时刻不仅仅令人不适，他们是精心设计的策略，剥夺你的尊严、选择权和医疗权利。很多女性直到为时已晚才意识到。作为一名从业数十年的医生，我即将分享的内容可能会让你震惊，但也可能帮助你避免成为医疗年龄歧视流行病的又一个受害者。在深入探讨这5个毁灭性问题之前，请在下方留言，告诉我们你来自哪里，以及医生是否曾让你感到被忽视或不被尊重。我们会阅读每一条评论，你的故事可能帮助另一位女性识别这些警告信号。请确保你已订阅并点击通知铃铛，因为你即将了解的内容可能彻底改变你对待医疗的方式。让我们从第一个令人不寒而栗的问题开始。当医生靠在椅子上摆出同情的表情，问你，你确定要听结果吗？你需要明白，这并非同情，这是以关心为幌子的操控。这种情况正以令人震惊的频率发生在60岁以上的女性身上，却鲜有人提及。想想看，你费尽周折去做检查，可能忍受了不舒服的程序，焦急地等待结果，现在医生却建议你可能不知道会更好。这不是保护，这是父权主义的极致表现。他们在未经你同意的情况下，对你的心理和情感能力做出决定，把你当成一个无法承受自己身体真相的脆弱孩子。我亲眼目睹了珍妮特的经历。这位68岁的女性因数月不明原因的疲劳前来求助。她的前任医生虽做了血液检测，却劝她不用看完整结果，说一切正常。珍妮特信任医生，选择了相信。6个月后，她来找我寻求第二意见。我们发现她铁含量危险偏低，血小板计数持续下降，这些本可早发现并干预。The harm caused by this issue goes way beyond just delayed medical care. Janet lost precious time, experienced unnecessary pain, and perhaps worst of all, her confidence in her own judgment was systematically shaken. According to a study published in the Journal of Medical Ethics, withholding medical information from patients, especially older women, is linked to a 34% faster disease progression and a 41% drop in treatment success rates. Why is that? Well, because early intervention saves lives, and you simply can't intervene in something you don't know about. What's especially insidious about this practice is that it's often disguised as fake kindness. Doctors who use this approach usually claim they're trying to spare you worry or stress. But, research from the American Geriatric Society actually shows the opposite. Patients who receive full and transparent information about their health are 67% more satisfied, adhere better to treatment, and have significantly improved outcomes. Those left in the dark, though, don't see these benefits. If your doctor hesitates to share your test results or hides information under the pretense of acting in your best interest, you really need to be clear. Yes, I want to know everything. This is my body, my health, and I have the right to all the information I need to make an informed decision. Don't let them infantilize you with misguided protection. In healthcare, Knowledge isn't just power, it's survival. The second question that should immediately raise a red flag is actually a bit more subtle. When a doctor looks at you and asks, "Do you really want to go through all this at your age?" They're not evaluating your health, honestly. They're making a judgment based on a number. And well, this kind of medical ageism is destroying the quality of life for millions of older women, women who truly deserve so much better. Let me paint a picture for you about just how devastating this issue can be. Margaret is a 72-year-old grandmother who still goes hiking every week and runs her own business. She developed severe knee arthritis, and this condition was slowly taking away her independence. When she consulted an orthopedic surgeon about knee replacement surgery, the doctor didn't discuss whether she was a good candidate for the procedure. Instead, he sighed and asked, "Do you really want to go through all this at your age? The recovery time, the physical therapy, all the commitment, was it really worth it for someone in her 70s? That question planted a seed of doubt in Margaret's mind, almost causing her to lose out on another decade of active living. When she left the clinic, she not only doubted the surgery, but also started questioning whether she even deserved the right to pursue relief from her pain. 3 months later, after, a lot of encouragement from her family, she decided to seek a second opinion. The new surgeon was honestly shocked by the previous advice. Margaret was actually an ideal candidate for surgery. Her bones were strong, her overall health was good, and her potential for recovery was excellent. She went ahead with the procedure, and now, 5 years later, she's completed 2 half marathons and travelled to 14 countries. The research data, honestly, is pretty shocking. A comprehensive study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine found that patients over 65, when discouraged from receiving standard treatment because of their age, had a 58% higher rate of disability progression compared to those given age-neutral care. Even more concerning, their risk of premature death was 43% higher. This isn't just about emotional harm. This is a reality where prejudice, disguised as medical advice, actually costs lives. What makes this issue especially cruel is that it preys on our natural anxieties about aging. Every person over 60 has moments when they doubt their own abilities, wondering if those doubts are justified. When a medical professional, someone you trust with your life, doesn't address those concerns objectively but instead reinforces them, that's truly the highest form of betrayal. They're taking advantage of your vulnerability, using your age as a weapon. Really? To excuse their own laziness or discomfort with complex cases. So, next time a doctor suggests you give up treatment just because of your age, respond with confidence. Age is only one factor in my overall health. I want to understand all treatment options based on my actual condition, not on assumptions about my age. Just remember, biological age and chronological age are 2 totally different things. And in medical decisions, the only thing that should matter is your biological age. The third question might just be the most dangerous form of medical psychological manipulation that elderly women face. When a doctor tilts their head sympathetically and asks, "Have you considered letting nature take its course?" They are not offering wisdom. They are abandoning the patient in the name of philosophy. A practice that is taking the lives of women who could have been healthy and lived longer. This issue is particularly insidious because it masquerades as respect for the natural process, while in reality it represents a complete abdication of medical responsibility. I will never forget Eleanor, an 82-year-old retired teacher who discovered early-stage breast cancer during a routine mammogram. She was healthy, still tutoring students, tending her garden, and hosting weekly dinners for her book club. Her first oncologist, after a cursory examination, suggested that at her age, perhaps letting nature take its course was the kindest option. Eleanor almost accepted this death sentence, disguised as kindness, but deep down she refused. She sought a second opinion, a decision that saved her life. The second oncologist was shocked by the previous suggestion. Eleanor's cancer was curable with a simple mastectomy and minimal radiation. Her 5-year survival rate was over 94%. Now, 7 years later, Eleanor is fully recovered, has written 2 children's books, and recently celebrated her 90th birthday with her grandchildren. Grandchildren she might never have seen grow up. 这些数据令人愤怒。国家癌症研究所的研究显示，与诊断相同的年轻患者相比，70岁以上的女性在可治愈的疾病中被建议采取被动治疗或不治疗的概率高出71%。这并非基于医学证据，而是基于年龄歧视的假设，认为老年人的生命价值较低，剩余岁月不值得为之奋斗，应优雅地接受衰老而非积极追求健康。这个问题特别阴险之处在于，它利用了文化 conditioning。你们这一代女性常常被教导要顺从，不要大惊小怪，接受既定事实。当医生建议顺其自然时，他们正在利用这些根深蒂固的行为，指望你的礼貌会压过你的求生本能。他们打赌你不会提出艰难的问题，或要求你应得的治疗。你需要明白，顺其自然是一个有效的选择，但仅当它真正是你经过充分了解所有替代方案后做出的决定。如果医生建议这条路，立即反问：如果我年轻20岁，你会推荐什么？我所有的治疗选项是什么？对于像我这样具体健康状况的人，成功率是多少？而不仅仅是根据年龄，迫使他们给你药物，而不是哲学。其实第4个问题看起来挺常规的，但实际上它是一种隐蔽的评估，可能会对您的独立性造成毁灭性的影响。当医生问谁在为您做出医疗决策的时候，请一定要密切注意他们的语气、时机以及接下来发生的事情。说真的，这个问题可能是剥夺您自主权的第一个步骤，而且它发生的速度可能比任何疾病都要快。说实话，正是帕特丽莎的经历让我明白了这个问题的危险。帕特丽莎76岁，精明能干，自己管理投资，还担任非营利组织董事。那天她只是去看医生做常规血压管理，因为停车不便让女儿陪同。可当她短暂停顿，试图回忆药物剂量时，医生立刻转向她女儿，问通常是谁协助做医疗决策的。就在那一刻，帕特丽莎在医疗体系里突然变得无形了。医生仿佛她不存在，把所有问题都直接抛给了他的女儿，还用第三人称讨论她，并在病历中记录下她可能存在认知问题。后来，帕特丽莎告诉我，她感觉自己被彻底抹去了，70年的人生经历仿佛因3秒钟的犹豫就被否定了。Some of the research in this area is honestly quite unsettling. For example, a study published in the Journal of Geriatric Medicine found that once a healthcare provider notes any concern about a patient's decision-making capacity, even if it's just an informal note, the patient's likelihood of having their autonomy limited in future medical situations jumps by 89%. And get this outcome is totally unrelated to the patient's actual cognitive status. These kinds of notes can trigger a chain reaction, where every subsequent provider who sees the previous concern adds their own doubts, ultimately building a medical narrative. This narrative can then be used as justification for pretty much anything, from involuntary treatment to guardianship proceedings. What's even more alarming is just how arbitrary these assessments can be. The exact same pause, in a 50-year-old patient might be seen as careful consideration, but in a 75-year-old, it could be interpreted as evidence of cognitive decline. When a younger patient wants to involve family in discussions, that's often viewed as collaboration, but for an older patient, it might be seen as dependency. And women, Especially those who are polite or speak gently are more likely to be labelled as needing assistance. So, if a doctor asks who should make your medical decisions, it's really important to state clearly, I make all my own medical decisions. I value my family's opinions, but the final decision is mine. Is there a specific reason you're asking this? Then, just watch closely. If the doctor starts talking to others instead of you, if they simplify their language like you're a child, or if they start taking notes and avoid eye contact, you're witnessing discrimination. At that point, it's probably time to find a new doctor. The fifth and, well, the final question might sound pretty harmless at first, but honestly it can be the most dangerous to your independence. When your doctor, during a visit that has nothing to do with your vision, reflexes or mobility, casually asks, "Are you still driving?" You need to realize that this isn't just small talk. More often than not, it's the beginning of a line of inquiry that could end up costing you one of your most basic freedoms. This question, became really personal for me because I actually witnessed Ruth's story firsthand. Ruth was an 80-year-old woman, but her health was honestly better than a lot of 60-year-olds I know. She exercised every day, had perfect vision with her glasses, and hadn't had a single accident in 50 years of driving. During a routine checkup for her seasonal allergies, her new doctor just happened to ask if she was still driving. When Ruth answered yes, the doctor seemed surprised and made a note in her chart. 2 weeks later, Ruth got a letter from the DMV telling her she needed to take a special test to keep her license, all because that doctor had reported a medical concern. Ruth passed every single test, but by then, it was just too late. The stress of the whole evaluation, the subtle suggestion that maybe she wasn't safe behind the wheel, and the constant fear of losing her independence, it all took a real toll on her. She started doubting herself, only driving during the daytime, not because she needed to, but because she was made to feel unsure. And within a year, she stopped driving altogether. Not because her ability had changed, but because that one careless question planted a seed of doubt that just grew and grew. 这些统计数据令人震惊。美国公路安全保险协会的研究显示，70岁以上持有驾照的驾驶员每英里驾驶的事故率实际上低于除中年人外的所有年龄段。然而，他们因年龄而被医疗保健提供者质疑驾驶能力的可能性高出3倍。这一记录可能影响保险、家庭和法律决策。这个问题特别险恶之处在于其连锁反应。失去驾驶特权不仅仅意味着失去交通工具，对许多老年人而言，这意味着失去医疗服务、社交联系、购物以及维持健康和福祉的其他所有活动。研究表明，停止驾驶的老年人抑郁率增加51%，整体健康状况恶化速度加快68%。那个看似无害的驾驶问题，可能就是噩梦的开端。当医生在不相关的情况下询问你的驾驶状况时，要战略性的回应。是的，我开车很安全。今天就诊是否有特定的医疗问题需要您询问？这迫使对方透明化，避免他们仅凭年龄做出假设。记录下问题被提出的时间和原因。如果察觉到任何偏见，考虑在医疗记录中添加自己的备注，确认你的驾驶安全记录。现在你已经知道这5个问题，你掌握了强大的武器意识。你明白并非每位医生都以你的利益为重。医疗领域中的年龄歧视是真实且危险的，你有权要求更好的待遇。但光知道是不够的，你需要采取行动，成为在这个系统中为自己发声的最强有力的倡导者，一个常常先看到你的年龄而非你的人性的系统。请记住，每次您在没有抗议的情况下接受这些歧视性问题，您不仅在伤害自己，您还在强化一个将继续伤害无数女性的系统。但每次您挺身而出，要求澄清， 争取尊重并拒绝被忽视，您都在创造一种影响整个医疗体系的变革。你的年龄不是诊断结果，你的白发不是疾病。你在这世界中摸索数十年的经验，让你更有资格为自己的身体做出决定，而非相反。你值得获得将你视为一个完整的人，而非刻板印象集合体的医疗服务。你值得拥有那些为你的生活质量奋斗，如同为伴你年龄的人奋斗的医生。The healthcare system hopes you'll be grateful, compliant, and silent. They count on you to accept whatever scraps they are willing to offer. But you come from generations of women who have changed the world, who fought for rights that seemed impossible, refusing to accept anything less than you deserve. That fighter is still within you, and your health is worth fighting for. So the next time you're sitting in a doctor's office and hear those 5 questions, remember this moment. Remember that you have choices. Remember that you deserve better treatment. Most importantly, remember that your life, health, and independence are worth fighting for, especially against those who try to take them away, particularly those in white coats. Share this video with every woman you know over 60. In the comments, share your own experiences of medical discrimination. Have you heard those questions? How did you respond? What would you do differently now? Your story might be the wake-up call another woman needs to speak up for herself. Subscribe to our channel for more essential truths about aging and health that your doctor won't tell you. Together, we are not just growing older. We are becoming stronger, wiser, and absolutely unstoppable.